I believe deeply in not deploying the U.S. military into American cities. We have law enforcement authorities. We have folks whose job it is to actually enforce the law within the United States. Those are police officers. Donald Trump and Republicans in Congress decided to withhold $1 billion in funding at the same time that this city could use that money to actually fund law enforcement, and instead opted to send military into our cities. I will never be okay or comfortable with the American military in American cities. That's not their job. Their job is to fight wars, foreign wars. What they can do in Fallujah is not what they should be doing.
But Brian, you may not feel comfortable, but other people might. If we could put this up here. So there was a Washington Post poll that found that 65% of district residents said crime was an extremely serious or very serious issue. That was up 9 points from the year prior. And if you add in moderately serious, that number rises to 95%. If you have this increased presence, and they are trained, generally speaking, to protect citizens. If that is going to make other people feel safe and people believe optics-wise or on the streets-wise that D.C. is not safe, why is that a bad thing?
Fund the police. That is their job. Not send in our war fighters who are normally dispatched into the Middle East to kill people. I mean, their job is to kill people, not to send those people into American cities. Again, we have people who do this in the United States of America.
Even if they're just providing a support function? Even if they're just providing a support function to local law enforcement?
Do you think that Republicans would be comfortable if former President Joe Biden would deploy the U.S. military into American cities if it were in red states? That's the point. It is not their job. It is not their job to be deployed into American cities. Why would we turn the U.S. military against American cities when we have police officers and law enforcement officials whose job it is? I'm not discounting the potency of crime in the United States. I live in Los Angeles. It's a big city. I, of course, want me and my family to be safe as well. And I understand that it's a major issue, but it's not the military's job to be able to do that. We have law enforcement whose job it is to counteract crime.
So let me bring in Geraldo. Geraldo, you like how I teed all that up? Because I'm very curious your response. Because the counter argument would be
very nice.
Yeah, and what you would hear from Brian, what you hear from others is, okay, look, right, they're not trained for this. The worst situation, people might make a Kent State comparison. This could end badly. Is this a push too far? You know, was this a rush to do this because it's an issue that really works well for President Trump? What's your response to that?
Well, my first and most important response comes from the Metropolitan Police Department themselves. You know, the 3,000 strong D.C. cops have embraced this emergency deployment, and they really, if anything, believe that it's late to the game. D.C. has been, with all due respect to our nation's capital, a shithole for a long time. You know, it reminds me of the old LaGuardia Airport you know, that became so ghettoized and so grim and dark and melancholy that you get used to it. Remember, these are citizen soldiers, the Guard. In broad strokes, I agree that the military should not be deployed for a law enforcement purpose. But these people, the Guard, the citizen soldiers, are there for a different reason. They're there to calm people down and to also project a presence. You see a couple of guardsmen, even if they don't have their long guns, and they don't, thank God, have them as they are deployed, they're there, or they're there in a support function. The cops and they are the same, on the same team. And I started covering homelessness in D.C. more than 35 years ago, a guy named Mitch Snyder. Mitch did everything he could to attract attention, even including a fast, where ultimately he almost killed himself because he went on a starvation fast. Because they wanted to get things done.
Right.
So jump cut 35 years forward, and if anything, it is worse than ever.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.